Hello, Mandela class. Welcome to this week's PSHE lesson. Your learning objective today is, can I express my feelings? So the reason why we're talking about feelings in this lesson is because this week is Wellbeing Week. So you'll be developing your understanding today of helpful and unhelpful worries. So some worries that you may have might actually encourage you to do better and motivate you to do better. But some worries that you may have are absolutely useless and they just bring you down and make you feel not very good. So we will explore the worries we may have and think about whether they are helpful or unhelpful. So, for example, one worry that might actually be helpful to a certain extent is, for example, if you have got a sports match or a school play and you're a bit worried about it, often your body will be better than normal. So you will perform better because you are a little bit worried, because your brain has made all your senses a little bit stronger and a little bit better, like a superhero, in case you need to run away from danger. So sometimes worrying a little bit motivates us to do better, and actually it increases our senses and it makes us perform better. However, sometimes we may worry about things, and that kind of worry can be unhelpful. For example, if you feel worried about things that aren't really dangerous, like speaking in class or spiders, if you feel like you're worrying too much about standing up in class and talking in front of everyone, or you're worried about being around a spider that's not dangerous at all, after a while your brain can get really tired because you're worrying about unnecessary things. It's exhausting being worried all the time. When you're tired, when your brain gets tired because you're worrying too much, it means sometimes you can get sad or upset about things a lot quicker than normal, than if you weren't worrying too much about something. Today we're going to read the book, The Huge Bag of Worries. You can read it with me, you can pause the video and read it yourselves if you want, or you can just listen to me read the book. Jenny had always been happy. She had a lovely mum and dad, a great brother, well, most of the time. She had a best friend at school and she liked her teacher. And then, of course, there was Loftus. But recently, she had been getting gloomier and gloomier. It wasn't just one thing. It was everything. She worried that she was getting too fat, that Loftus had fleas, and that her best friend was going away. She worried that she was getting bad marks at school, and she thought she heard someone whispering about her in the playground. She worried when her mum and dad had an argument. She even worried about wars and bombs. Until one day she woke up to find a huge bag of worries. The bag followed her everywhere, to school, to swimming, to the toilet, and it stuck by her even when she was watching TV. She tried ignoring it, but it didn't work. She tried throwing it away, but it always came back. She tried to lock it out, but when she got back to her bedroom, there it was, waiting for her. It was like a horrible shadow she couldn't get rid of. What could she do? She asked her brother for help. but he was busy with his computer game, and all he said was, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have any worries." After that, she didn't feel like asking anyone else. She knew she'd only feel stupid. Mum would probably say, "You've got no worries that I can see. You're a lucky girl. You've got your health, your friends, your family. What more do you want?" So she decided not to tell her. Dad might know what to do. But then she thought again. No, Dad had enough worries of his own. She couldn't ask him. Every day things got worse. The bag got bigger and bigger and bigger. She couldn't sleep because it kept tossing and turning beside her all night. To make matters worse, the bag dragged around her feet so much when she was walking to school that she was late and the teacher was cross. Jenny couldn't tell her what had happened, and anyway, she knew what she would say. "You've got too many worries. In future, leave that bag at home." When Jenny told her best friend about the bag, she suggested that Jenny locked it up in a cupboard and tried not to think about it. "That's what I do," she said. But it just didn't work. Even Loftus couldn't help. He tried his best and barked like mad, but the bag stood its ground. One morning, Jenny woke up, got dressed, and walked down the road. She'd had enough. The tears started rolling down her cheeks. She sat on a garden wall and put her head in her hands. She thought she'd have to live with the bag forever. Then she heard a voice and, looking up, she saw the kindly face of the old lady who lived next door. "Goodness," said the old lady, "what on earth is that huge bag of worries?" Through her tears, Jenny explained how it had followed her for weeks and got bigger and bigger and just wouldn't go away. "Now, let's just open it up and see what's inside," said the old lady. But Jenny said she couldn't. If she opened the bag, the worries might jump out and who knew what might happen. "Nonsense," said the old lady firmly. "There's nothing a worry hates more than being seen. If you have any worries, however small, the secret is to let them out slowly, one by one, and show them to someone else. They'll soon go away." So Jenny opened the bag. The old lady sorted the worries into groups. Jenny was astonished to see how small they looked when they were out in the open. Half the worries disappeared because lots of worries just hate the light of day. As for the rest, the old lady put some in her shopping basket to deal with herself. Some she sent packing because she said they belonged to other people. Some she just blew a kiss to, and some she said were worries that everyone had, even Jenny's family, her friends, and her teacher. And as for the bag, well, we can see what happened to the bag. Now, We've got some things to discuss with regards to the book. I want you to first think about what the bag of worries represents. Is it actually a physical bag that we carry around, like our book bag that we bring to school every day? Is it an actual thing that we carry around with us, or does it represent something else? Pause the video and have a think. Well, the bag represents worries that are in our head. It's good to see that in the story you can visualize what the bag looks like, because in our head it might look the same. It might look like something is just getting bigger, our worries are getting bigger and bigger and bigger in our head, and it's making us feel a little bit too heavy, a little bit upset. In Jenny's case, she felt really, really upset, and to a certain at a certain time, she just couldn't hold it in anymore. So she just sat down and she cried and cried and cried. That's because the bag was weighing her down. So it was making her feel really, really awful. Now, how did Jenny get help? What helped her? So often, we might just keep our worries in our head, the same way Jenny was keeping the worries in the bag. The more you hold on to your worries in your head, the more they start affecting you. So in the end, when the old lady said, we need to let these worries out, as soon as Jenny, so in real life, we might speak about our worries. We don't have a physical bag to take worries out of, but you may speak about your worries. You may say to somebody, look, I'm worrying about this. This is what I'm worried about. And that person might actually help you understand that there is no point in worrying about the thing that you're worrying about. It's not helpful in any way. And just speaking to someone about it and talking to for someone to be able to listen to you, just that itself might help get the worry, make the worry go away. So, what did Jenny do with her worries? Pause the video and have a think. Well, she kept building them up and up and up in her bag. So the bag was getting really, really big and really heavy. Do you ever feel like Jenny? I often feel like, yes, I do let a lot of my worries bring me down and make me feel horrible. So I do hold on to some of my worries in my head. Next thing I want you to think about, what did other people in the story do to help Jenny? Were there some people in the story that were not very helpful? And what did that do to Jenny? Well, some people made her feel a little bit silly for having those worries, so they weren't really helpful. They made her feel like, oh, well, you shouldn't have any worries, you'll be fine. And they made her feel like she wasn't, they didn't make her feel comfortable to talk to them a bit more about their worries. Now, the old lady who lived next door helped, because she said, okay, well, even though you're a child, and I don't think you should have many worries, but still, let's talk about it. Let's see what you're worrying about. It doesn't matter what age you are, you still could have worries about certain things. And it's very important to find somebody that you can talk to about it. So who will you share your worries with? Have a think about that. Okay, I want you to also think about what worries you. What do you do with your worries? Do you need help to manage them? Pause the video and have a think. What do you do with your worries, and do you need help to manage your worries, or can you deal with your worries yourself? Some worries you can talk yourself out of. So you can think, oh, I know that's a silly thing to worry about, so I'm not going to spend much time worrying about it. The worry might come to you quickly, but you may also quickly realize that it's not necessary or helpful to worry about it. But if you can't get rid of your worries, then can anyone help look after them for you, like the old lady did with Jenny? Is there anybody you can speak to that you can express your worries to? Is there anything you can do to manage the worry? So you could think about the fact that you could think about the thing that's worrying you, whether we, as mentioned before, whether it's worth worrying about. For example, if we have a fly flying around the classroom, is there any point you worrying about the fly? It's just going to get you upset. It's just going to, that's just a small example, but it's an example of something that you're worrying about that you don't necessarily have to worry about. Okay, you've got a few activities to choose from. Uh, some of you may have seen this worry monster already. Some of you may have one. You may even use one at home. But if you don't, you could design your own worry monster. This monster has a zip where its mouth is. And then if you open that zip, you can open its mouth and you can write notes about what's worrying you and feed it to the monster. So while you're designing your worry monster, you can think about what color and shape you want it to be. You can cut it out and stick it in your room. You can imagine feeding the monster all of your worries and letting them go. If that doesn't work, if you're still worrying about those things, maybe you can take some of those worries out that you fed to the monster and share it with somebody and talk to somebody about it. This is activity 2 that you could choose from. Make a table like the one below. Like this table, it's got 2 sections. Worries you can do something about, worries you can't do anything about. So which part of the you can decide which worries go in which side of the grid. For worries you can do something about, discuss what actions you might take. How are you going to do something about it? For the next section, where you write down, so we're just missing a word here, about, that you can write on your own section. For worries you can't do anything about, discuss who you might share these worries with and who may be able to reassure you and help you with your worries. Then write a list of people you can talk to when you're worrying about something. Okay, so today we have started to think about how things might upset us, make us worry, or make us sad. We should all think about how we can make sure our worries don't make things harder for us. We'll be talking about this in our live session today as well in the afternoon. So think about what worries you and who you might share your worries with. Think about helpful worries and unhelpful worries. Think about worries that you can't do anything about, and you can share that with us on the live chat as well. Right, great thinking, guys. Well done for being open about your worries as well. I know sometimes it's easier to keep them in and to not talk about them, but as you could see with Jenny, she found it easier to just keep them in the bag, but in the end, how did it make her feel? So it's very important that we find people to speak to discuss our worries and to help them go away. Right, well done. I will see you in the next video. Bye, Mandela class.